dashboard which we have, wherein you can see like overall performance, you have some filters available, then you have some gross sales, sales, discounts, units, revenue, profit, then you have some discounts by product. You can select any product and you can, based on that, you can see the sales, then units sold by the segment, profits by the product, then you have your year to year view, month over month view, and quarter over quarter view. So you can have those views as well. As you select, it will change. Then there is revenue versus sales by month. Then you have, this is a summary table, this is a segment table. Sorry, this is a region table. So you can reset it again to the normal one. So this is a combination of Power BI dashboard. So whatever we are creating over here, like we created some KPIs, we created a funnel chart for the sum and profit of margin. So this acts as a, this act basically as nothing, but this act as your dashboard. So you can make it as a dashboard and you can create it and you can make it in a form of a visual to the people that, okay, this is my particular dashboard that I have come across and I have created it. Okay. So this is how we actually work with the dashboards in the Power BI and we create it. Now, there is a difference between a report and a Power BI dashboard. Now, what's the difference between a report and a Power BI dashboard? There's a huge difference. Power BI dashboards, now this is called as a dashboard. But if I, let's suppose, want to export it as a Power BI template, it's fine. Let's suppose I want to export it as a PDF. So see, this is a type of a PDF that is being generated. This is a PDF that is automatically created out of your data set. Now, let's suppose if I go to the Power BI and I say I want to import a Power BI visual from App Store or maybe from a Power BI template or something of that sort. So I don't have basically a template, which is a PBIT file. Okay, so I have a Power BI. So this will help me to import custom visuals. Now there is a big difference between a report, a Power BI report, and a Power BI dashboard. So the charts you can't be used together. The thing is that in a Power BI report, you can't use the charts together. The charts will be separated, segregated differently. Whereas in a dashboard, you can use the charts together. So that's the difference between a report and a dashboard. So that's why when we create reports in Excel, so like the way you saw PDF over here, so you can see that like these things, like these charts are not combined in a way because I have removed a filter, but I can't use these filters and everything. So that's why I can't use anything over here. I can't change anything. But in case of a dashboard or in case of this Power BI dashboard, if I change to anything, it basically changes my data or basically changes anything in the data set. Like see, based on that, my sales numbers change, or based on this, my numbers change accordingly, or data is getting changed. So that's what we see as in when we export or work with Power BI reports or any of these, Power BI dashboards or any of these when we work with them. So that's the basic difference, that whenever we are working with a report, we can't combine the charts or make the charts work together. But in a dashboard, we can do those functionalities and we can work on that. Okay. So that's the one thing we can obviously do and we can work on it. Now, I told you about the Power Query Editor, if you remember. So Power Query Editor is something wherein you can just change or clean your data. You can see how many columns are there, how many rows are there, how many of them are working, how many of them are perfectly fine or working in a way or looking good, and all of them. So that's called as a Power Query Editor. Okay, wherein you can rename your columns, you can rename your data set, you can change any column headers, anything of that sort you want. You can have those Power Query editors. Now, how you want, I can explain you with one more data set. Let's say let us bring one more. Let's bring the retailer table over here. I select this table. And in this, now once you upload the table, you go to transform data. That will open up your Power Query editor for you. Now here you can check with the data columns. If your data looks fine or you want to change something, you want to have a look for it, you want to change any data type or anything of that column, you can basically replace it. So if you think you want to like change the data type of it, like here it says as a whole number. So I want to create as a whole number, but I want to keep it maybe as a text. So it's changed the data type. Now here, if I want to change anything, or maybe I can check for the columns. You can see that my data perfectly looks fine. So there's no requirement to change it. Okay. So that's how you edit with the Power Query. So if you want to enter a data, you can basically enter a data if you want. Then if you want to manage, like if you want to create a table and enter it manually, you can do that. And if you think that you don't want to, then you cannot. If you want to split any column, you can obviously split that. Like any column, whichever you think that, okay, I want to split it. So I want to split on based on that, you can split it. If you want to choose a column, you can choose it. Remove a column, you can remove it. Keep the rows, remove the rows. You want to group the two columns, you want to merge a query, you want to append something, have a text analysis or anything of that sort. If you think that, okay, these are all fine and I want to close and apply, so just click on this, close and apply the changes. The changes will get automatically applied to the visual and your data will be loaded. So that takes a few seconds to load, but the data will get loaded depending on also the number of rows that you have in your data set. So based on the number of rows that you have in your data set, based on that, your data will get loaded. So if you see over here, see the retailer tables has been loaded. Now, if you again go to the model view, you will able to see your data. Now, here a relationship is not created. The reason behind this, there is not any single column by which we can connect the data. So if let's say I want to bring this, if I want to see that if there is any relationship between any of the tables, so no, there is no relationship. So that's why there is no relationship that is being created. So this is how your Power Query Editor works in a way, wherein you can check for any column, rename anything. So you see over here, this is where you see the data panel, which have all the details. Here you have the table details. Here in the snippet, you have the query settings. So whatever changes you are doing, it will show you that. Here you basically have all the data sets. The data will be shown to you. Here you have the table name and any changes you are applying to the column that will be shown. Maybe on the formula base, maybe on the database, maybe anything of that sort. Here in this, you will be able to see the details of that column. Here you will see how many columns are there, how many rows are there, and the profiling of the data, basically the preview and at what time the preview was downloaded. So these are the 7 things that you see in a Power Query. And basically your Power Query is used for the editing of the for column, for basically cleaning the data. So whenever there's any need to change the data or any cleaning required in the data, then in that case, you are basically going to use this tool, basically Power Query, to query your data set or do some stuff over there. Okay, so that is called as a Power Query editor for us.